Very good morning to you. Welcome to ONNJ Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato. We'll take your calls today at 888-658-0234, 888-658-0234. It's going to be partly to mostly sunny today, highs upper 70s. Let's head to meteorologist Mike Favetta. He has a first check of the Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike. Still sneezing with all the pollen?
Plenty of sneezes to go around. Yeah, add the throat irritation to go on with that with the nasal drip. A lot of fun here all across New Jersey
Joy.
with the allergies. Pretty rough for most, especially if you're sensitive to the pollen, specifically tree pollen. It's been rather high the last few days. Now, yesterday made for a fantastic day with temperatures well up into the upper 70s and mostly sunny skies. We basically do it all over again. This time we get more sunshine in the morning, allowing for a very pleasant feel. 58 degrees right now in Cape May, the warmest spot in New Jersey, all the way up to Sussex, 45 degrees. But everybody sees a nice warming trend through this afternoon. And it's important to note that wind gusts will be light today, specifically right around where the wildfire is along the Garden State Parkway. We'll talk more about that in just a bit because it's showing up on satellite, an impressive view that I'll show you coming up in our next weather segment. Throughout the afternoon, temperatures will stay rather mild. We're already about where we were yesterday temperature-wise, so it's staying warm today. And with the clear sky that moved in last night, thanks to all these clouds clearing out, we start off nice and dry and sunny this morning, making for a very pretty start and also a pretty finish to the day. The futurecast shows it nicely, nice and dry with clear sky and very light winds. Look at how you don't even see any of those little wind streams over central New Jersey. They're recently down off out into the ocean or up to the north and west. So that high pressure is sitting right on top of us, parked over New Jersey, creating very calm winds. It creates an issue for air quality, especially down the shore where those wildfires are. But beyond that, we'll see temperatures ultimately warm up today, with a little bit of a sea breeze developing by the end of the day, keeping places like LBI a little bit cooler. Inland will reach the low 70s again on Thursday, maybe make it up to 80 in Trenton. So another warm day ahead for tomorrow with plenty of sun. And then that southwesterly wind begins really picking up, bringing in the clouds by the end of the day Friday and allowing for a pretty wet start to the weekend. Here are those showers that are moving in later Friday night into Saturday morning, giving us a pretty damp start to the day on Saturday. It's still going to be mild. Temperatures hold in the upper 60s and low 70s, but not a whole lot of dry weather until Sunday. That's when the front pushes in, clears out the clouds, and brings back lovely weather for the end of the weekend. Speaking of that weekend weather, we have the dry finish, but a wet start on Saturday. Could be a few embedded thunderstorms. All of that clears out very nicely by the time we get to Sunday. More on that coming up in just a bit, Ken.
All right, Mike, thank you very much, sir. We again have a lot of folks back to work and school or headed on vacation because of the week after Passover and Easter. So let's take a look right now. This is the Garden State Parkway. This is mile marker 147.0, which is exit 145. This is entering the parkway. Folks coming on by the area of I-280 East Orange. And it's pretty slow at this hour for this hour, but gives us a little indication of what might be to come. So this is again by I-280 in East Orange. We'll see if this is what's happening at this hour. Let's see in about 30 to 45 minutes if it's any better, because that's pretty darn slow for that particular exit of the parkway. We move on with other roadways right now. We have a crash on I-80. It's eastbound, east of exit 55, which is Union Boulevard in Totowa. That's near the Caldwells. One left lane is closed, causing a lot of brake checking through there. We have a crash on 295 southbound, south of exit 43, which is Creek Road in Mount Laurel Township. The left lane is closed. And we have an overturned vehicle now on I-80 in both directions, east of exit 47A, which is 280 in Montville. All lanes are open westbound, but one left lane is closed eastbound. And we still have that emergency construction on I-80 in both directions at exit 34, which is Route 15 in Wharton. All lanes remain closed. You can see a lot of traffic there on Route 15 on the right side of your screen. Those cars you see lined up on both sides of the roadway, those are the contractors ready to do the work today. I'm sure they're working probably in the back and we don't see them, but I know it's everybody who sees this image says, but Ken, it looks like they're not doing anything. Believe me, you see up in the left side there, upper left by the cranes, they're doing a lot of work up there. They're just parking their cars in the front of your screen. So I don't want people to look at that and think nothing is getting done. It will be another 2 to 4 weeks at least before any part of that roadway is reopened. 7:05 right now. A massive wildfire surged to 8,500 acres in Ocean County and forced the evacuation of 3,000 people who lived there, along with many large road closures. The Jones Road forest fire is about 10% contained. Over 1,300 structures were threatened by that enormous fire. About 25,000 homes and businesses had to be without power in the area. JCP&L had to cut power in order to protect all the firefighters working in that area. 7:05 now. President Trump will be among the world leaders who is attending the funeral of the Pope Francis, set for this Saturday at Vatican City. Now, these are images released by the Vatican of the Pope laid out in the coffin, looking very much at peace. The pontiff died on Monday at the age of 88 following a life-threatening battle with respiratory ailments. His memorial service is set for this Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Rome time. His body will be buried at Rome's Basilica of St. Mary Major in a very simple wooden casket per his request. He just wants his name, which is Franciscus, Francis, in Latin, written there. Let's take a live look now at the Pope laid out. This is, of course, the Vatican. This is St. Peter's, right under the main altar. You see the Bernini columns. That's usually, that's where they celebrate Mass. You can see people gathered, and they are, of course, praying for the pontiff for his soul to rest in peace. But that is a live look now, Rome time, which would be it's either 12 or 1 o'clock. Mike would know because he used to live in Italy. It's this. I always get confused when we have daylight saving time, how it affects the time in Rome. So it's either 12 o'clock or 1 o'clock in Rome right now. But you can see the pilgrims coming by to say their prayers, and the casket laid out at the foot of the altar by Bernini's columns at St. Francis, or Saint of Francis, I should say, at St. Peter's. Maybe someday St. Francis. 7:07 is our time now. A new report by the Anti-Defamation League released yesterday shows that a year after the number of anti-Semitic incidents spiked to an all-time high in New Jersey, there are now reports of intimidation, harassment, and vandalism growing on college and university campuses in the state. At the same time, a rising tide of anti-Semitic acts across the country once again hit a new record this past year. What you're looking at there, that was video at Rutgers of one of the incidents. So apparently the study found those incidents increased by 5% from the previous year. Much of that appeared to be sparked by anti-Israel rallies and an outpouring of anti-Semitism in the wake of the conflict in Gaza, triggered by the October 7, 2023 attack by Hamas that killed 1,200 people in Israel. 7:07, a New Jersey woman is lucky to be alive after she was pulled out into the Pacific Ocean during a California trip. Diana Echeverri Torredo is from Jersey City and was vacationing with friends 3 weeks ago. While standing on a jetty, both Diana and her boyfriend were hit by a huge wave and dragged out to the water. Her boyfriend was rescued, but Diana was later found in the water, breathing but not awake. Turns out the freelance makeup artist experienced a number of bone fractures to her face and body, and more seriously, a brain hemorrhage causing brain injuries. After days in intensive care, she was finally released from the hospital, but suffered those brain injuries and will require expensive rehab. Friends have set up a fundraiser for Diana to help cover those massive expenses. 7:08, May 7th is quickly approaching. What about May 7th? Real ID Day. There are still many New Jersey residents who plan on getting on a plane in May, but they do not yet have their real ID. What is real ID? Well, it's a driver's license that certifies you are a U.S. citizen. You'd say, well, doesn't your driver's license do that? No. Just listen. Before you dismiss the story, pull out your license and confirm that you have real ID. So your driver's license, no matter what state it was issued in, must have a gold star in the upper right corner to be used to get on a plane or cruise, or if you want to enter a federal building, like for a court case. If your license does not have that gold star, then you must use a passport or passport card in order to fly. If you normally have a normal license that doesn't have that gold star, it's good for a traffic stop. So that's fine. If you don't intend on getting on a plane, you're okay. But if you intend on getting on a plane up to May 7th or beyond, you need a driver's license that has a gold star in the corner. Trenton is finally offering a little relief for people who still don't have their real ID. It's a little late, but they are offering the following. Anybody who is in a bind, who does not have a passport and must have a real ID ASAP in order to travel. Just about all the MVC appointments are booked between now and the 7th, so you have to do this basically. If you want to take a ride to Trenton, you can contact the Trenton Regional MVC office. Go online and you can find the number. and you must make an appointment. You cannot walk up. They won't accept you. It'll cost you an additional $80 expediting fee, and you must bring your birth certificate and 2 proofs of address, such as a utility bill or cable TV bill, and your social security card. Okay? If you're not traveling by May 7th, then you could wait. Don't worry about it. You just make your appointment later at the MVC. The problem, by the way, with the real IDs, it only is happening now in Democrat-run states. Just, you could look it up. Republican states did not offer driver's licenses to illegal aliens. That's where the confusion came in. When illegal aliens were given the same license as legal citizens, now you didn't know when you display your license who is a legal citizen and who is not. Thank you to the sanctuary states like New Jersey. If you go to Florida, they have no problem right now. You go to Iowa, they have no problem. You go to Alabama, license has a real ID. It's only in blue states like New Jersey, New York, Connecticut, California, Washington states, Oregon. Those are the states where they have to now make people spend more money and make appointments to basically inconvenience themselves so that illegal aliens were not offended when they were granted the right to use a driver's license, which, by the way, is a privilege and not a right. Just because you're a U.S. citizen and you go to apply for a driver's license does not guarantee you will get one. So the idea that illegal immigrants were given them is highly offensive. It gives them more rights than U.S. citizens. Do the figuring. It is 7-Eleven right now. A populist party in New Zealand's governing coalition yesterday proposed a law to enforce a biological definition of men and women, condemning the existing woke ideology of what party members call, quote, cancerous social engineering. The New Zealand First Party, which has campaigned to ban transgender women from using women's toilets or participating in women's sports, said that it had lodged a draft legislation in Parliament. It launched the anti-woke ideology bid barely a week after Britain's Supreme Court ruled that the legal definition of a woman is based on a person's sex at birth. The bill defines a woman as, quote, an adult human biological female and a man as an adult human biological male. Period. End of sentence. Doesn't matter what you think, what you feel, or what you want to change your identity to. That's the law in New Zealand, or it will be. It's currently the law in Great Britain. It was just changed that way. And look out, because it's headed to a country near you, likely this country. 7-Eleven, the Department of Education announced on Monday it would restart collecting federal student loans in default on May 5th, ending a pandemic-era pause that began 5 years ago. More than 5 million borrowers are in default. Federal student loans go into default after 270 days without payment. The Biden administration misled borrowers to believe that the president had the power to forgive a loan for which somebody signs a contract. That did not go correctly because the president did not have that authority, as the courts decided several times. The Education Department is urging defaulted borrowers contact the student aid office's default resolution group, make a monthly payment, make a deal with them, strike some kind of a deal, or else it'll affect your credit and you will be in debt and you will have collectors coming after you. Just call them and set something up. 7:13, Senator Chuck Schumer is in some deep trouble right now. New York's ultra-liberal Democratic Senate Minority Leader has the lowest poll number since becoming a politician. The top Senate Democrat and longtime lawmaker faced intense backlash from within his own party in March for supporting a Republican-crafted federal government funding bill that averted a government shutdown and was backed by President Trump, but opposed by most congressional Democrats. That anger by the Democrats appears to be reflected in a new poll of New Yorkers conducted by Siena College. Schumer's favorable rating has now slipped down to 39% favorable, 49% unfavorable. It's never been that low among New York State voters. Who seems to be in the lead and could outdo him in terms of unseating him come next Senate run? AOC. It is 7:14. When we come back, New Jersey Globe editor David Wildstein will have the latest on New Jersey's political scene with the Inside Edge. It's going to be partly cloudy, partly sunny today, actually more sun than clouds. Highs in the upper 70s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta returns with your full Garden State forecast, and we'll take your calls at 888-658-0234. You're watching On New Jersey Mornings. Don't go away. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings for your Wednesday. I'm Ken Rosato at 7:15. We'll take your calls at 888-658-0234. It'll be partly sunny today, highs in the upper 70s. Right to meteorologist Mike Favetta with the Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Ken. Lots of sunny, dry weather today. It'll look fantastic with temperatures well above average, except for at the coast, you get a little bit of a sea breeze today, and you can see how that affects the coastal temperatures. Right there in Point Pleasant, 69 is your high, 67 in Long Branch, but you head a little further west over toward Princeton and Trenton, you're about 8 or 9 degrees warmer. So it'll feel warmer inland throughout the day, a little bit cooler at the coast. However, the breeze is pretty light today, and that's great news for the wildfires. This is the area that shows up on satellite that is currently burning. You can see it's right down the parkway south of Toms River, all the way almost to the Barnegat exit and extending back in toward Lacey Township. Well, with that, the air quality suffers as well. Keeping the air quality for most of southern Ocean County, sections of Burlington County, and Atlantic County in the moderate level. Anytime you get upwards of 100, that's some cause for concern, and that likely won't get better until the fire is extinguished. In addition to that, if you find yourself elsewhere in New Jersey, you also have the pollen. With the high level of tree pollen today, we're in the peak of tree pollen season. Grass levels are starting to rise as well. It'll be one of those days where you'll need the allergy medicine close at hand. Wind gusts this morning are light, so that's good news for the firefighting efforts, and the breezes should not be too much today, again, until a little bit of a sea breeze off the coast makes it a little bit cooler, but overall we'll stay dry until tomorrow. A late day gust starts to come in from the south and southwest. That could push some of the smoke northward into the more populated areas of Ocean County, so that's important to note, especially with the wind switching direction, blowing in from the south and southwest throughout the day tomorrow and even into Friday. Other than that, UV index is at a 7, which is high. That looks great today. Be sure to use the sunscreen. It'll feel pretty nice throughout the afternoon with those clouds clearing out. Lovely dry weather coming in for this afternoon. Nothing more than hazy sunshine at worst. And we keep it dry with rain-free conditions at least through Saturday. So there's the temperatures that are holding in the upper 40s and low 50s each morning at the coast. Will warm up quickly inland up to 80 there by Trenton and over toward Camden, and then cool off again with the clouds returning for Friday. That rain that comes in later Friday night lingers through most of the morning on Saturday. So you see it entering the picture here from the west, giving us some wet weather into Saturday morning and then ultimately clearing out, drying us into Sunday morning with a front pushing in, allowing for a northwesterly breeze to cool us down and dry us out and look beautiful for Sunday. Sunday's weather looks outstanding with nothing but sunshine all day long. Very pretty skies and lovely weather. Monday brings back a few high, thin clouds, nothing to be concerned about, but I think we're warm until Wednesday of next week. Temperatures could be well above average, maybe even setting some records on Wednesday, and that all cools down with a line of thunderstorms about a week from now. So some impressively mild weather until that point. Good news is we have some decent weather by the second half of the weekend to look forward to. Saturday is kind of a wash. There'll be on and off showers most of the day, specifically in the morning, maybe some breaks of sun by the afternoon. But Sunday, that's the winner. A nice northerly breeze at 10 miles per hour, drying us out and keeping us very pleasant into the afternoon, Ken.
That's these sunny and upper 70s days. I'm going to start calling you San Diego. We'll call you San
Ah, yeah.
Diego. How do you like that? I mean, literally, why do weathermen or meteorologists, I mean, do they even have meteorologists in San Diego or are they just weathermen? Because
Of
really,
course
what
they
does it
do. And
take
they're
to say
more
sunny
so,
and
though, here's the
68?
thing. They're more so station scientists because they're the person you turn to when there's like some sort of atmospheric anomaly, when there's an
Ah,
earthquake, for instance. Those are the people that, but you're right, 99% of the time, it's usually some very attractive looking woman who's flaunting her stuff there with the high heels. And yeah, I mean, you've seen it. Just go
yeah,
look at the silicone
I have.
yourself.
Just a few times. And yeah, but although I will say that the real meteorologist, like you are a degreed
Yeah.
meteorologist, so that people do not confuse the two, we always like to say, or I always like to say, you're like the pilot of a plane.
Mm,
99.9% of the time, you coast along. It's when there's the
sure.
emergencies that
Yeah.
everybody turns to you for help. And
That's
that's
true. That's a
exactly what a
great analogy.
meteorologist.
Yeah.
This is why they pay me $8 an hour, pal. Uh, actually, it's not even true. Uh, All right. We'll check back with you in a little bit, Mike. Thank you very much, pal. It is now 7:20. We have 54 degrees. In terms of traffic, that we do have. Let's take a look right now at the approach to the George Washington Bridge. And you could see it is bumper to bumper. Everybody's back to the drive into Manhattan right now. You know what? Everyone said, oh, the congestion pricing, that's going to solve this problem. Yeah, it solved it for about a week. And then now they're just collecting billions of dollars from people. That's what this is about. So it did not solve the congestion pricing, the congestion issue. Everyone's still driving in. Take a look. That is your 80-95 approach to the GWB, bumper to bumper, both upper and lower roadways. Just had to show you. So if you had any ideas of driving in right now, that's what you get. We also have a crash on 295 southbound, south of exit 43, which is Creek Road in Mount Laurel Township. A left lane is closed. We have an overturned vehicle now on I-80, both directions. That's east of I-280 in Montville. All lanes are open westbound, but one left lane is closed eastbound. And let's go to that famous camera, I-80. They should start charging a nickel for every hit of this camera because everybody's showing it every day, including us. This is I-80 east and west closed at exit 34, Route 15 in Wharton, New Jersey for the ongoing sinkhole repairs. 7:21, it is now time for politics from Trenton, explained like no one else can do it. Here's New Jersey Globe editor David Wildstein with the Inside Edge.
Good morning, Garnett. Good morning, New Jersey. Welcome to the Inside Edge. Today is Wednesday, April 23rd. And if you're running for the state assembly this year, then I guess I'm speaking to you today. Think about this, that when you include all the primary candidates and the independent candidates, about 2/3 of you are going to lose. Now, if you already know that, if you've agreed to do your party a favor, then hold your head up high, because being a sacrificial lamb in an unwinnable district makes you the unsung hero of a political party. But if nobody has had the talk with you, if you don't realize what's in front of you, if you're running in a district that's less than competitive, if your party hasn't won your district in a very, very long time, and you think you can win, then you have to really think about how realistic your assessment is. Mike Tyson once said, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. And it's been a little more than 4 weeks since the filing deadline. So besides getting 250 signatures, what have you accomplished since then? The first public metric will come on May 12th. That's when your 29-day pre-election report is due. This is going to show how much candidates raised from the inception of their campaign through May 9th. And there's no avoiding this. People are going to judge your viability starting with your first report. And the easiest part of fundraising is the first few weeks when you can hit up your friends and your family. If you can't get that, then it's not going to be easy to convince strangers to kick in. And when you advocate for yourself, which you should, be prepared to answer some fair questions that ought to be easy. Who's your campaign consultant? Who's your campaign manager, your field director, your pollster, your finance chair? If you don't have them yet, remember that every day you skip is a missed opportunity. And the reality in political campaigns is that you don't want to end up on election day saying anything other than I've done everything that I could. In political campaigns, time is irreplaceable. You're going to have to convince interest groups that you're worthwhile. You're not going to get the NJEA to necessarily drop Nancy Munoz, or the PBA to say no to Chris Tully if they think you're going to lose. And one more thing, don't count on coattails. Yeah, miracles happen. I mean, like the 1973 Watergate landslide, or when Jim Florio raised taxes by $2.8 billion in advance of the 1991 election. But those kinds of massive waves are uncommon. I mean, even when Christopher, who who never helped anybody but himself, even when he was reelected with 60% of the vote in 2013, Republicans didn't make any gains in the legislature. That's all I have for today. Thank you for listening, and I'll be back tomorrow.
Always, always, always great advice from David Wildstein. 726, magic mushrooms legalized in America's field of dreams. Iowa's State House passed legislation Monday that will legalize the use of psilocybin. That's the psychoactive compound found in so-called magic mushrooms for psychiatric treatment. This could be groundbreaking. The bill would establish a licensing board within the Iowa Department of Health. It would operate in a similar fashion to the existing Medical Cannabidiol Advisory Board that oversees Iowa's medical cannabis program. Now, the board would grant licenses for the production and administration of products with psilocybin to people with certain mental health needs in the state. A lot of real intense scientists swearing that the properties in these so-called psychedelic mushrooms or magic mushrooms can seriously help people with intense anxiety and other stresses to come out of it. And they wouldn't have to be on it all the time. It actually helps rewire the brain. So this is very promising. We'll see what happens. It's not just for people who say, hey, man, I want to do some shrooms. This is actually something that could help people's lives. It is 727. A new study shows that spending years raising and caring for children produces benefits, not just in mothers, but in any caregiver. People in many developed countries are having fewer and fewer children. For what appears to be economic reasons, young couples are reluctant to have children. We are an aging society, and if nothing is done about it, we will become even more so. But now neuroscience has a powerful argument to go have kids, the positive effects on the health of potential parents. New research shows us that spending years raising and caring for children provides benefits to the brain. It helps rewire your brain, not just for moms, but also for fathers and any educators who take on the responsibility of raising kids. If you're a parent, you know how many multitasking things you have to do at the same time. Think about feeding, clothing, cleaning, education, raising money, etc. All of that keeps the brain neurons firing in every direction, because you always have to be playing chess. You have to think 30. I can imagine our director Pam right now going, because you're always thinking 30 steps ahead when you're raising children. And this is apparently extremely beneficial for the brain. The study in the journal Proceedings of the National Academy of Science, which is considered very prestigious, clearly showed that the number of children raised is associated with higher brain-wide functional connectivity. So in other words, the more kids you have, the better structured your brain. So when you get into old age, if you want to try to avoid dementia, have 100 kids and you won't have that issue, apparently. But this is very interesting. They're seeing that in countries where people are having fewer and fewer kids, the levels of dementia are going higher and higher. The countries that continue having more and more kids have lower and lower cases of dementia. So they're seeing that there's apparently some connectivity in keeping the brain wired for raising kids and caring for them. Again, whether it is that they're your kids or you're a teacher or caretaker, that's not so much the case. It's the dealing with having to raise children that seems to give you the beneficial aspects. 729 right now. We have 54 degrees. When we come back, a groundbreaking treatment for pancreatic cancer, making waves at Hackensack Meridian. Plus, our phone lines are open. We'll take your calls at 888-658-0234, 888-658-0234. It'll be mostly sunny today. Highs upper 70s, a full Garden State forecast with meteorologist Mike Favetta just a moment from now. And you're watching On New Jersey Mornings, seen daily at ONNJ.com, Roku, Fire TV, News On, Samsung TV Plus, Apple TV, YouTube, Facebook, and X, and now streamed live on Rumble and Twitch at twitch.tv/OnNewJersey. We'll be right back. Very good morning to you. 54 degrees now at 7:31, Wednesday, April 23rd, 2025. I'm Ken Rosato. Welcome back to ONNJ Mornings. It's going to be mostly sunny today, highs upper 70s. Pretty nice. Meteorologist Mike Favetta has the detailed Garden State forecast. And Mike, I was out late last night, not for any carousing reasons, I might say, but it was so nice because the air was kind of still, maybe a two,
Yeah.
3 mile an hour rustle, and it was 65. And I had short sleeves on. And I said, my God, it didn't feel too humid. And I thought, this feels like summer already. It was lovely outside last night. You could just
It is
spend the
a
whole night outside.
You could. It was like a taste of Southern California weather, like we've been saying.
Yeah.
Beautiful, warm air, especially through the overnights. There's a little touch of humidity, which is common toward the end of April into early May. You get a little more humidity, tends to carry the heat from the day into the overnights. That's called latent heat. There'll be a quiz at the end of the show, in case you're wondering. In terms of the rest of the week, that warm weather lasts throughout the rest of this week, at least until Friday. That's where we stay dry, and then rain comes in for Saturday with another dry and breezy Sunday. So there's one day of wet weather with some of those showers maybe spilling into Friday mornings or Friday afternoon's forecast there as well. The smoky icons appearing over there toward Egg Harbor City and up by Manahawkin. So yes, there will be some significant smoke as those wildfires keep burning there toward Hamilton as well. A sea breeze today developing, pushing in a lot of that smoke inland away from the coast. So I think with the wind shifting from the south, by tomorrow, a lot of that smoke will be moving its way northward over the coming days. So it's something to watch, especially with the wind direction, even though the winds will be light today. Record high set back in 1985 of 87 degrees. It was a warm one. We look forward to the clearing today and nice dry conditions through this afternoon. A lot of sunshine through the end of the day, but also dry rain-wise. The firefighters don't get a break until maybe Friday night into Saturday when there's a good amount of rain that comes in. Could be upwards of a half inch, maybe more by Saturday morning, and then it dries out again by Sunday into Monday. So I think, the firefighter efforts will take some time, at least until weather helps there. The statewide average for the air quality is a 43, and that's good. But again, isolated down there toward the shore by Ship Bottom and Atlantic City, and even toward Toms River, that number going higher. And you can see basically where that smoke is setting up with those darker shades of yellow, giving it more of a moderate to high for air forecast quality going through the next few days. So here's the high pressure keeping us clear throughout the next several days. It's helping the firefighter efforts, preventing too much wind throughout at least Friday. And then the rain comes in from the west, and that wet weather gets going later Friday, lasts into Saturday morning, clears out. A beautiful finish to the day Saturday, and that sets the stage for a very pretty Sunday with nice dry weather all around. 7-day forecast has mild weather through the middle of this week, back up to 77 for Friday. Saturday has the rain, and then clears into Sunday. 65 as the high. Next week turns warm again. I think we will see temperatures peak up near 80 or higher come the middle of next week. So we're on our way to getting some really warm weather around here as we finish up our stretch this week of quite warm weather. The shore point's a little bit cooler with that sea breeze cooling down into the 60s each afternoon. Rain for you as well on Saturday, and then next week running anywhere from 5 to 10 degrees cooler than inland locations, but still sunshine prevails down at the shore. So excellent weather. A hit up toward the beaches. Water temperatures still a little chilly, Ken. Mid 50s is the latest buoy temperature off the coast. So a little too early to take a dip.
Thanks, boy. Thank you very much. I won't do that again. You did mention sea breeze, by the way, and that conjured up all sorts of cocktail memories at the pool. I'm
Oh,
just saying.
sure.
Thanks for bringing that up. I appreciate it. All right, Mike, thank you. 54 degrees right now, much like the sea temperature is right now. So if you're going to go down the shore, it's pretty to look at the water, but maybe just dip a toe and that's it. Okay. Let's take a look at the traffic. We have the Garden State Parkway. Look at this camera. So right now, this is mile marker 147.0, exit 145, Sussex Avenue overpass, which to translate that is I-280 in East Orange. That's what that exits you to. And look at the traffic. So this is an ongoing thing this week. Last week, we have access to about 100 cameras. You could have popped up all but maybe one or two, and you would have seen zero traffic, not even cars moving at speed limit, like no cars. This week, you could pick any camera, and that's what you see. There's traffic everywhere. So it looks like anyone who took vacation, everybody's back. and everybody's doing their driving. So this is the way all the roadways are looking. So if you're heading out to work by car and not mass transit this week, just know, give yourselves about 30 minutes of extra travel time, and you'll see that that'll help you a lot. We always like to say that this dynamic, the first few days back from vacation where people hit bumper to bumper traffic, that usually discourages enough people that by next week they will take mass transit and everything lightens up for everybody else. So it's to see who gets more ticked off. Those who get most ticked off will be taking mass transit next week. And this won't happen as much. But just to give you an idea, this usually happens right after vacation weeks. Other roadway issues right now to tell you about: a crash on the Turnpike Inner Roadway now northbound, north of Interchange 11, which is the Garden State Parkway interchange in Woodbridge. The right shoulder is now blocked, and that's causing a lot of rubbernecking. We have a crash on 295 southbound by Creek Road in Mount Laurel Township. The left shoulder is closed. About a 15-minute delay through there because of the rubbernecking. And we have that emergency construction and sinkhole repair, I-80 in both directions. Exit 34, Route 15 in Wharton. All lanes are closed in both directions, everybody being detoured. Oh, and you could still keep showing that, Pam, because we're going to still talk about I-80, albeit not this area. We still have that overturned truck I mentioned earlier, not too far, about 8 miles away from this point on I-80 in both directions, east of exit 47A, which is I-280 in Montville. All lanes are now open westbound. One left lane is closed eastbound. And we have a crash on 295 southbound, south of exit 43, which is Creek Road in Mount Laurel Township, with one left lane closed. This is a very busy traffic day, and each day has been that way this week. So just beware. 7:38 now. A groundbreaking treatment for pancreatic cancer is making waves at Hackensack Meridian Jersey Shore University Medical Center, where doctors have successfully treated their first patients using RenovoRx's innovative transarterial microperfusion, or TAMP therapy. The first of its kind catheter-based treatment in New Jersey offers new hope for patients with advanced pancreatic cancer. Joining us now is Dr. Gregory J. Tisi, or Tisi. I'm going to ask you live on the air. I would say Tiesi if it was in Italy, Medical Director of Hepatobiliary Surgery at Jersey Shore University Medical Center, to discuss this cutting-edge therapy. Doctor, please, please forgive me for not asking your name pronunciation in advance, but it is good to have you on. Please pronounce your name for me.
Well, you did it perfectly both ways, right? It's TC is how we say it. Right. If I was in Italy, it would definitely be Tiesi, and you got to do the hand motions and everything, so.
Exactly like that. You're with a Rosato and a Favetta this morning, so forgive us for having to do both. But it's so nice to have you on, doctor. And we all know so many people who've suffered this horrible scourge of pancreatic cancer. So please explain what RenovoRx's TAMP therapy is and how it works to treat pancreatic cancer, something 10 years ago we would have never even imagined we could have.
Yeah, this is an incredible innovation. Basically, what this catheter treatment does is it delivers chemotherapy directly to the cancer, or any drug you want. Whatever innovation we have can be delivered directly to the tumor. Everyone knows that these drugs that we use to treat this very aggressive disease, they can be very toxic and make it very difficult to get through therapy, and lead to significant, decrement in quality of life, and are very challenging. So to be able to give it directly to the tumor and not pretty much have any of those side effects is quite an innovation.
So when we say it's a catheter, does that catheter go through the ureter, or does it go through the biliatic ducts to the pancreas? How does that catheter reach the pancreas?
It goes right into the blood vessels. So many people would be familiar with like a cardiac catheterization, where they go through the groin to the heart, and they inflate a balloon, etc. It's the same concept. So this catheter has two balloons on each side, and they inflate them when they get to the blood vessel that's near the tumor. And so when they put the drug into the catheter, it has nowhere to go except directly into the tumor itself.
Wow.
Not to your entire body, which is what causes the side effects when we give those medicines through the traditional route, which would be, through an IV or through the vein.
This is absolutely brilliant. For those who don't and I don't pretend to be a doctor, I just know from my years of covering medicine in television that traditional chemotherapy is what? Chemicals that kill all cells but it kills cancer cells first because they tend to be weaker. So they die first, but all cells die. And that's what you tend to get sick, lose your hair, etc. Those are the side effects. Do I have that much right? But this avoids that by going directly to the tumor, thus avoiding the rest of your cells. Is that pretty much what's happening?
That's exactly right. Even the newer treatments you might hear about, immunotherapies, targeted therapies, they tend to have a better side effect profile, meaning they have less adverse effects, less side effects, but they still do have very severe and significant side effects, which are not uncommon. And that goes to the same problem that when you give something to your whole body, the drugs are not so smart that they can only target the cancer cells in your body. They target a lot of other cells. That's just how they work. And that, we feel as people feel as the patients, those effects, that they're unintended negative effects, but it's the best that we have up until recently.
This is just so brilliant. And from a from a layperson's perspective over here, it just seems so logical. It would be like if you have an infection on your skin here, taking an antibiotic versus putting a topical antibiotic, one goes directly to where the issue is as opposed to putting antibiotic in your entire body. I mean, I know that's a very simplistic way, but that's just the way my brain is interpreting it right now. It's going directly to the source and treating that source. And it just seems so logical. And like, why has this taken this long to get to this point? And I love this story. One of your first patients, Christopher Goodwin, was told that he had no further treatment options and found this therapy. So how does TAMP provide hope for patients who basically exhausted all other treatments?
Well, as it stands, it's still important to start with the traditional agents given the traditional way, because we want to treat the whole body to start, because there can be cancer cells that are out there that we don't know about and we don't have any ability to detect. So, but the problem comes that these patients, although they want to keep fighting, they just can't tolerate any of the treatments anymore that are given through the vein to their whole body. They get very sick, and they are without option because many of these tumors, unfortunately, are diagnosed later, and thus they are not removable through traditional surgical means. You can try adding things like radiation, but ultimately you have a patient in your office who says, "Doctor, I want to keep fighting," and you want to help them. And up until relatively recently, we were sort of out of options. We had some that were really substandard, and so now to be able to say, we have more for you, and keep up your hope, and we will keep fighting as long as we can.
And Jersey Shore University Medical Center is the first in New Jersey to offer this treatment, the TAMP treatment. So what does this milestone mean for that hospital, your hospital, and the community that you serve?
Well, I think it's important that we continue to innovate. You may hear a lot of pessimism about the treatment of pancreas cancer because the survivability was so poor not that long ago. But if you track this, we've increased our long-term survivability from this disease substantially, and it doesn't happen overnight. It's not one magic intervention or drug that cures everybody. It's that you have to chip away at it. And so to be able to offer this to people who are in this community, to help give one more tool in our toolbox to keep pushing so that people can live longer and live better, because their morbidity, their side effects are so much less with this treatment. It's great to be able to offer that. And people have come from pretty far away already just to see if they're eligible for it. So we're happy to evaluate them and see if we can provide this.
This is brilliant. This is brilliant. And I love the fact that you explain that this doesn't replace the other technologies. This is, like you said, another tool in the toolbox. And I love that you explained how cancer cells could be, cancer metastasizes sometimes, right? It goes, the cells break off and go to other organs, and that's how you have cancer form. If you had breast cancer, God forbid, then you might have whatever other kind of cancer. But that's why chemotherapy, traditional chemotherapy, may still be the good first option, so that if those rogue cancer cells are in the blood that you don't see, that the chemo will go after those as well, and you may not know it otherwise until it's too late. So that's so that nobody gets the wrong idea that this is the one treatment they have to have. That there are other treatments first they should probably seek. And you've also been using, and forgive, let me make sure I got the pronunciation right, hepatic artery infusion pumps for other cancers. So how does TAMP fit into the broader landscape of precision cancer care at your center?
That's a terrific question. So it's the same concept, used in a different organ and for different diseases, but diseases that this hepatic artery infusion basically treats cancers that have spread to the liver or started in the liver who've suffered from the same problem. These patients try to get chemotherapy to their whole body or other treatments, and they suffer the side effects. So this is a surgically implanted catheter that we do here that goes right towards the liver and gives the medicine directly to the liver. And the liver can process all the excess drug without it going to the rest of your body. So it essentially does the same thing. And there's been increasing interest over the last decade or more in these targeted deliveries. Like you said, intuitively, it makes sense. Your analogy was great about treating an infection locally. Cancers are no different. If we can find a way to get these drugs into the cancers, we will invariably do better and the patients will suffer less because, when you give it everywhere into the body, we can't concentrate it in the cancer itself. Yes, it's more targeted toward it, but still, it's hard to just get the drug to the levels that we want it in the cancer. So these treatment modalities are an attempt to do that.
Brilliant. It's so brilliant. And if people want to contact you to see if maybe they're a candidate, if they've already had other treatments, how do they get in touch with your team, doctor?
They can just call the office, and we have a team that will evaluate because not everybody is eligible for these treatments, obviously for many various reasons. But you know what? A phone call is essentially free, right? So we
Yeah.
will take any, we'll take any call and we'll do our best to evaluate you and bring you in. And some people they just need to have an appointment to be told, we don't think that this is the right treatment for you, but we have other treatments for you. So it's not a matter of, sorry, you're not eligible, we can't see you. We want to be able to help people in this community who have this terrible disease, and we'll look at every option that we have.
Yeah, it's just amazing that 10, 15, 20 years ago, if you were told you had not prostate, pancreatic, I'm mixing up my P's in my head,
Yeah,
pancreatic
yeah,
cancer,
no
it was
problem.
pretty much a death penalty, a death sentence. And the idea that this isn't the cure, if you will, but this gives you, as you said, that next tool. It gives people a chance. It gives people another chance. And I'm sure every doctor who does this kind of treatment in America, I'm sure is wanting to read the research and try this out because so many patients who just come to the doctors, and I'm sure you see them every day, uh, just begging for that shot. This gives you that one extra shot for them. And God bless you for all the work you do and all the studies you do, and hopefully this will lead us to something bright in the near future. Dr. Gregory J. Teasy, a medical director of hepatobiliary surgery at Jersey Shore University Medical Center. Please let us know how things are going with this because we all want to know. And thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much.
You bet. All the best with you and your team. It is 7:49 now, and our temperature is 54 degrees. Mostly sunny today, highs upper 70s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta returns in a moment with the full Garden State forecast. Taking your calls too at 888-658-0234. 888-658-0234. You're watching on New Jersey Mornings. Don't go away. And welcome back to ONNJ Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato at 7:50, taking your calls at 888-658-0234, 888-658-0234. Mostly sunny today, highs upper 70s, right to meteorologist Mike Favetta with the full Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike.
Hey, Ken, we've got a really warm and sunny afternoon ahead, very similar to yesterday. So if you enjoyed yesterday's weather, chef's kiss, you're going to love today, especially with highs that climb again back into the upper 70s across northern New Jersey, from Wayne and Hackensack, even over toward Jersey City. Sun spilling across every nook and cranny here in New Jersey, even in the hills towards Sussex and Newton. Now, with the dry weather that's persisted, we've told you about the wildfires before. Right where those wildfires are located, there's still a moderate to severe drought that's ongoing. A little further north is where technically those areas of New Jersey are out of that drought, specifically northern sections of Ocean County and Monmouth County, even toward Middlesex County. But again, it's really the fine line here of where the rain has been falling and where it's been lacking, like up towards Sussex, where we've seen only a third of normal rainfall, still about a 1 to 2 inch rainfall deficit there. The hot weather persists right through the first week of May, anticipating above average temperatures for us here in New Jersey, and that includes most of the Northeast, so very warm weather, and we'll likely see equal chances of rainfall. You can see on the 7-day forecast, there's not much rain coming over the next several days. Yes, we get one day in there, late Friday night into early Saturday morning, and it could even be some downpours, but beyond that, dry until then, with temperatures staying in the upper 70s, with a cool down forecast with a cold front that comes through on Sunday and Monday. But even next week sees another round of very warm weather through the end of the month. The shore points have a slightly cooler feel thanks to the sea breeze each afternoon. Again, this is along the beach line areas. Rain forecast for you for Saturday morning, clearing by Sunday, and then beautiful and dry with even a warm up for you. You'll probably reach the 70s by the middle of next week. Pleasant weather all around and great weather to enjoy for the next several days. So nice if you're not an allergy sufferer, but if you suffer from tree pollens, yeah, it's not going to be a great go for you, especially with all of the high levels of tree pollens around, Ken. That'll last through the rest of this week.
You know, Mike, you know how every day we say today is National this day and National Day.
Yeah.
Yesterday was Earth Day, right? So today I'm looking at the National What It Is Day calendar. It's
Okay.
like 40 things. I don't know why April 23rd became like the dump day, but it's everything from, get this, it's National English Speaking Day, but it's
Ah,
also National Spanish Language Day.
well,
So that
that's
really helps in the United States because both are very common, right? English
yeah.
being more, but whatever it is. And it is National Administrative Assistance Day and National
Oh,
Secretary Day. It's both. So is there a different? I mean, I guess all administrative assistants are no, all secretaries are administrative assistants, but not all administrative assistants are secretaries,
that
I
might be it.
guess.
Maybe.
Maybe. It's also National Slay a Dragon Day, National Shakespeare Day, and Pet Tech CPR Day. Not just Pet Tech Day, but
Pet
Pet Tech
Tech
CPR Day, I guess,
CPR
because
Day.
pet techs who know how to give CPR to your dog. Um, let's see. And I'll let you go in a minute, I promise. Don't go anywhere. National Picnic Day, and it'll be good weather for that. National Lost Dog Awareness Day, National English Muffin Day. Wait, we're almost there. National Email Day, National Cherry Cheesecake Day. And it is Movie Theater Day for those who like movie theaters. And almost there, National Army Reserve Birthday. Okay, I think that's enough because I can go on for the rest of the show otherwise. It's a lot of things. So there you go.
All
Make
40
up a
wrapped
day
into one.
and it'll be yours. All right, sir. Thank you very much. We'll check
You
back
bet.
in a little bit. It is 54 degrees right now. Man, my head hurts from that. A new report by the Anti-Defamation League released yesterday shows that a year after the number of anti-Semitic incidents spiked to an all-time high in New Jersey, there are now reports of intimidation, harassment, and vandalism. Sorry to Pam, I jumped ahead to the stories because I took so much time here. So we could show the Rutgers video if you don't mind. So this is, we had the number of anti-Semitic incidents spiking to an all-time high in New Jersey. So we have new reports of intimidation, harassment, and vandalism growing on college university campuses in the state. So if we have the Rutgers video, we could show what we're talking about. There it is right there. So this was Rutgers University, the main campus last year, in the last 6 months, actually. So this is growing apparently in the last year. And at the same time, a rising tide of anti-Semitic acts across the country, once again, hitting a new record this past year. The study found those incidents increased by 5% year to year. Much of that appeared to be sparked by anti-Israel rallies and an outpouring of anti-Semitism in the wake of the conflict in Gaza, triggered by the October 7, 2023 attack by Hamas that killed 1,200 Israeli citizens. It is 7:56. A New Jersey woman lucky to be alive after she was pulled out into the Pacific Ocean, I should say, during a trip in California. Diana Echeverri Torroledo is from Jersey City, and she was vacationing with friends just 3 weeks ago. She and her boyfriend were standing on a jetty, and the two were hit by a big wave. They were dragged out to the ocean. Her boyfriend was rescued. Diana was later found in the water, breathing but not awake. Turns out the freelance makeup artist experienced a number of bone fractures to her face and body, and more seriously, a brain hemorrhage. After days in intensive care, she was finally released from the hospital but suffered brain injuries. She will require expensive and extensive rehabilitation. So friends have set up a fundraiser for Diana to help cover those expenses. 7:56, a populist party in New Zealand's governing coalition yesterday proposed a law to enforce a biological definition of men and women, condemning the existing woke ideology of what party members call, quote, cancerous social engineering. The New Zealand First Party, which has campaigned to ban transgender women from using women's toilets or participating in women's sports, said that it had lodged the draft legislation in Parliament and launched the anti-woke ideology bid barely a week after Britain's Supreme Court ruled that the legal definition there of a woman is based on a person's sex at birth. The bill defines a woman as, quote, an adult human biological female and a man as an adult human biological male. 7:57, May 7th is quickly approaching. There are still many New Jersey residents who plan on getting on a plane in May, but they don't yet have their real ID. Real ID is a driver's license that certifies you are also a U.S. citizen. And before you dismiss the story, you really should pull out your driver's license to confirm that you do have real ID and not just a standard state license. Your driver's license, no matter what state it was issued in, must have a gold star in the upper right corner to be used to get on a plane or a cruise or to enter a federal building as of May 7th. If you do not have that gold star in your license, it's only good for driving a car and nothing else. You would otherwise have to use a passport or passport card to get on a plane, a cruise, or get into a federal building. Again, unless you have real ID with the gold star. Brenton is trying to help out a little bit, a little too late though. For anybody who's in a bind and does not have a passport and must have a real ID ASAP in order to travel, just about all of the MVC appointments are booked between now and the 7th. So if you need to, you want to take a ride to Trenton, contact the Trenton Regional MVC office, make an appointment. This will cost you an additional $80 expediting fee, but at least you can get your license that you need with the real ID. You must bring your birth certificate, social security card, and 2 proofs of address, such as a utility bill or cable TV bill. If you aren't traveling by May 7th, don't worry. You don't have to be in a panic. Just make an appointment at your local MVC after that date when everybody else is taken care of who needs it first. This problem is only happening, by the way, in blue states that offered driver's licenses to illegal migrants. And that confuses then who is and is not a citizen. The purpose in the blue states was so that people who are not here illegally do not drive without a license and get into an accident and you can't identify them. That was the purpose of that. But Republicans in those states suggested that those people who have those licenses, that the licenses have some kind of a denotation on them so you knew who was a citizen and who was not. Democrats in those states didn't want to make the differentiation. We'll let you think why. A lot of people are saying on the right that it was because they wanted illegal migrants to vote in elections, ostensibly to vote for Democrats, which seemed to happen in a number of states. Evidence is pointing more to that every day. Anyway, the bottom line is if you need a real ID, you can go to Trenton, pay an extra fee, and get it expedited. It's 8 o'clock right now. When we come back, the passing of the Pope has left many feeling grief. But how can we process the negative feelings? We'll speak with a psychiatrist who has some very important answers for you. And we'll take your calls at 888-658-0234. Mostly sunny today, highs in the upper 70s. The full Garden State forecast in just a moment. You're watching on New Jersey Mornings, and we're coming right back. Good morning to you. 8 a.m. Wednesday, April 23rd, 2025. Welcome back to ONNJ Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato. We'll take your calls at 888-658-0234, 888-658-0234. Mostly sunny today, highs in the upper 70s. We head to meteorologist Mike Favetta. He has a first check for the hour of the Garden State forecast. Good morning to you, Mike.
Nicely across New Jersey, already 60 degrees down in Cape May. How's that to start your day? So pleasant weather right there along the waterfront, and it stays pretty all throughout this afternoon with lovely weather even in northern New Jersey, holding in those upper 50s right now, on our way into the upper 70s by the end of the day. There will be a little bit of a breeze right now that's blowing out of the north and northwest, and that's blowing some of that wildfire smoke down south across Atlantic County, but by tomorrow, the wind switches direction and begins to blow that smoke northward toward the more populated areas of Ocean County. That's something to watch over the next few hours. The temperature is about the same as it was yesterday, not much change here at 8:02, and even the last few hours showing those clouds moving out, bringing back loads of sunshine today and keeping it dry through this afternoon. So a nice clear day expected, temperatures climbing into the upper 70s. We keep it dry tonight with the light breeze, and then overnight cooling off into the mid 50s. It's tomorrow morning, however, we'll start to notice a wind pushing in from the south and southwest, and that's the concern there with that wildfire smoke pushing it into northern sections of Ocean County, even toward Monmouth County, and perhaps even up toward the metropolitan area there in the city, with that wind blowing before the rain arrives to help the firefighting efforts by Friday night. Overall, it's going to be a wet Friday night into Saturday. Could see upwards of an inch of rain this weekend, all falling by midday Saturday. So it's a fast moving system, moves out by Saturday afternoon, and then we're back to sunshine later on Saturday evening. And we've got a beautiful Sunday ahead with plenty of clear sky and drier weather. So the next few days featuring a warm up before the rain comes in on Saturday. We'll tell you more about that coming up with a full check of your forecast, Ken. That's in a few minutes.
Very good. Mike, thank you, sir. I appreciate that. It is now 56 degrees. Temperatures coming up very quickly this morning with that bright sunshine. The time now is 8:03, and we check our traffic. Let's go to the Garden State Parkway now. This is mile marker 150.8 north of the Essex Toll Plaza. Again, it is moving, but it's moving relatively slowly. It's about a 15-mile-an-hour flow right there near the Toll Plaza. And that's just, again, a testament to the amount of traffic that we have. You can tell that there's a lot of sun glare. You could see the sun is on toward the left side of your screen because you could tell by the shadows. So a lot of folks seeing that sun glare, that also slows things down. But we do have a lot of folks who came back from vacation after the long Passover and Easter holiday week last week, when most people took off, and folks are back in full force. So this is the case on most of the roadways today. A lot of traffic. We also have an overturned truck on I-80 in both directions, and that is east of exit 47A, which is I-280 in Montville. All lanes are open westbound, but now 2 left lanes are closed eastbound. So they added a lane of closure since last we spoke. We have a crash on 295 southbound, south of exit 28, which is Black Horse Pike in Belmar. Near the Philly area, 2 right lanes are closed, 15-minute delays, use caution. We have a crash on the Jersey Turnpike in a roadway northbound north of Interchange 11, which is the Garden State Parkway interchange, Woodbridge Township. The right shoulder is blocked. We have a crash on 295 southbound at 838, which is Creek Road in Mount Laurel Township, with the left shoulder closed, 15-minute delays. And that emergency construction on I-80 in both directions at exit 34, Route 15 in Wharton. All lanes are closed. We could show actually the GWB input, or in-cam, I should say, Pam, if you don't mind. This is the I-80 95 mix as you go eastbound into the GWB. We have that. This is really stopped. Look at that. So now you're looking at an hour delay inbound into Manhattan. Imagine this is with congestion pricing. So it really hasn't stopped a lot of people from coming in. This is as bad as it was before the holidays, if not worse. So if you intend on heading into Manhattan by vehicle, as opposed to mass transit, that's what you have. So give yourselves lots of extra travel time. All right. It is 56 degrees now at 8:05. We reflect on the profound loss felt around the world with the passing of Pope Francis, a global spiritual leader whose life has touched millions, billions even. His death raises important questions about how we process grief and navigate end-of-life care, especially for aging loved ones. Joining us now is Dr. Gary Small, who is a medical doctor, chair of psychiatry at Hackensack University Medical Center. Dr. Small, thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Thank you for inviting me.
You bet, doctor. And the passing of the Pope is a deeply felt loss for so many millions. How does the death of a prominent global figure like the Pope impact the people and the way people, both adults and children, experience grief?
Well, a lot of people are surprised by the intensity of the reaction to the loss of Pope Francis. And let's face it, we are social beings. What defines us as people are our relationships. When we lose someone close to us, it hurts, and we need to process that loss. And what's surprising to many people, these are one-way relationships. Often they're called parasocial connections. And so why would you have a reaction to the loss of someone you don't know really personally as strong as a reaction to someone close to you? But it's important to recognize that and to move forward. And there are ways of processing this grief that can be very helpful.
And one of the things, I used to be a Catholic priest, sir, and one of the things we used to say, people would ask me all the time, why are there wakes? Why do we have open caskets? Why do we have to see the dead body? Some people would be very offended by it, or their senses would be harmed, if you will, by seeing the deceased there. But I used to always say it's part of closure. That's what we were always taught in seminary. That is part of closure. It's part of the full circle. Life and death is part of one continuum. And this way you get, if you will, emotionally satisfied at knowing the person has in fact passed. And it's a way of accepting that. From a psychological perspective, is it basically the same thing?
Yeah, these rituals are truly important to bring closure on the relationship. You just can't, if you try to move on and make believe it didn't happen, you didn't have the loss, it's going to haunt you. It's going to fester emotionally and come out in different ways. So having some kind of closure, going through a ritual is very important. Now, many people will be able to find closure because there's so much media exposure to someone like the Pope. So that will help them. But, so many will not be able to actually attend the services. And sometimes it's helpful to create your own ritual, to get together with friends, family members, who have the same deep connection to this public figure, and talk about your memories, talk about what it means to you, and also do some self-exploration. What did the Pope mean to you? Was it someone who represented generosity, connection with everyday people? Does it reactivate feelings of previous losses? The Pope might have been a parent figure to you, and perhaps you lost a parent and didn't really grieve that parent. So it might be a time to think about those previous losses that might be triggered. Those feelings might be triggered by the passing of the Pope.
And for children who may have seen Pope Francis as a symbol of hope, or like a grandpa figure, as you said, like a parent or grandpa figure in this case, how can parents talk to their children and get them to process the loss that's appropriate for their age?
I think that it's important to share your own feelings of loss with the child, and give them a chance to express theirs, and to show them that these are feelings and it's okay to have those feelings. This is normal human reaction. And I think another thing that helps people move forward is, in a sense, the term pay it forward. If the Pope represented generosity to you, perhaps volunteer, perhaps get involved in an organization that was important to Pope Francis. That may help you feel that you're doing something positive and feeling that connection. I mean, the reality is, we lose people all the time in life. People who we have a one-sided relationship with, like the Pope, and others where it's two-way. And we have to be able to move on. But the blessing is those feelings, who that person represented to us, we carry with us for the rest of our lives.
And are there specific mental health challenges that we need to watch out for in ourselves or our loved ones when there is that sense of widespread grief, especially when it comes, you mentioned rituals. So Saturday, there will be the funeral, and billions of people will be watching around the world. So maybe people who aren't caught up in it emotionally yet, when they see the funeral and they see the body and they see the people crying, at a time like that, should we watch out for people who might otherwise have some deeply seated emotions, depression, if you will? What should we be looking out for?
Well, certainly it's normal when we're grieving and mourning uh, to cry, to feel loss, to feel sadness. But some people are vulnerable to more intense feelings that will interfere with their everyday life. Someone with a pre-existing depression, with an anxiety disorder, they may be more vulnerable for a trigger to reactivate some of their mental health issues. So I think the main clue is if the feelings are interfering with their everyday functioning in life. And that may be a time to look for help, for professional help.
And Pope Francis's passing also brings, of course, attention to aging and end of life care. For those who don't understand the difference between a psychiatrist and a psychiatrist studies psychology, but is a medical doctor. So you can speak from the medical perspective, obviously, as well. What about the complexities of the physical and the cognitive decline in older adults and how unpredictable it can be? In the case of the Pope, I mean, billions of people witnessed it in real time around the world as he aged.
Well, aging is not easy, and we face a lot of losses. Many times it's gradual, sometimes it's sudden, and how we adapt to those physical and psychological losses is critically important. And we saw the Pope's illness, we saw him fading. So, in some ways, his passing was not unexpected. So, I think many people psychologically were already preparing themselves for the loss. A loss that is sudden and unexpected is often more difficult. But also, he lived a long life and quite a fulfilling life. He accomplished quite a bit. So I think as people age, they feel gratification that they have lived a long, productive, impactful life. So I think that really brings us comfort knowing that.
And to pivot just a little into that, into the non-papal but real life area, if you will, how important is it to have advanced care planning if you have an elderly loved one? And what steps can families take to start the conversations? Maybe use the passing of the Pope as a man in his late 80s to have the conversation. Dad or grandpa is 88. Is this a good opportunity, if you will? And what steps can families take to start those conversations?
So it's never too early to start having those conversations. And they're often very difficult conversations because we all live in this everyday life where we're in denial that we're not going to live forever. But the sooner we can become realistic about advanced planning, the better. Because what is it that we lose as we age, and what do we fear most losing? And that is control over our lives, control over the decision making, how we want our lives to play out. So I think having the conversations, having it with close relatives, people who you trust and you care about, is the first step. Thinking how you want to manage your health care, your finances, and then, of course, consulting with professionals, attorneys, financial planners, uh, your physician, and getting into place advanced directives, living wills, and these other documents that will ensure that as you age and become less capable of making those decisions, when you were capable, the decisions will be carried out as you wish.
Dr. Gary Small, Chair of Psychiatry at Hackensack University Medical Center. What a pleasure to have you on this morning. Thank you so much for all that incredible, those words of wisdom and all your experience. We appreciate your time this morning, sir.
Thank you.
You bet. It is 8:15 now, and when we come back, some unique sounds from the world of jazz and blues. It'll be mostly sunny today, highs upper 70s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta returns with a full Garden State forecast, and we'll take your calls at 888-658-0234. You're watching On New Jersey Mornings. Don't go away. Welcome back to ONNJ Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato at 8:16. It is 56 degrees, and we'll take your calls at 888-658-0234. Mostly sunny today, highs upper 70s. Right to meteorologist Mike Favetta with the Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike.
Hey, Ken, good morning to you. Very pleasant weather outside today. Enjoying the sunny, warm weather, except if you find yourself down in South Jersey where those wildfires are burning. Poor air quality due to that smoke, especially south of Tom's River, with that little bit of a breeze coming in off of the water, keeping you cooler than places inland. Places like Roosevelt, Princeton, up toward New Brunswick could reach 80 by the end of the day. It's the area south of Tom's River through Berkeley Township, Ware Town, by Lacey Township, just north of Barnegat. That's what's showing up at 8:17 this morning on satellite as burning. And with that, air quality is dropping as a little bit of a breeze is pushing all of that smoke southward over to those air quality sensors down by Atlantic City. Well, in addition to the smoke, there's also tree pollen, which is very high. Grasses are on the moderate level. They're on the rise. And over the next several days, after the wind finishes blowing from the south, we see a little bit of a wind shift and they start to blow northward by tomorrow afternoon. So with that little bit of a breeze that takes over come tomorrow morning in the afternoon, that will blow any of the smoke north into the more populated areas of Ocean County, toward Monmouth County, maybe even up toward the city before the rain takes over and the front pushes through later Friday night. So it's going to be about 2 days of that southerly breeze pushing that smoke over northern New Jersey and into Staten Island and Brooklyn by the time we get to the rain that arrives on Friday night. Until then, lots of sunshine, a UV index of a 7, which is high, with that clear sky lasting into this afternoon. Plenty of sun to enjoy. Nothing but some high thin clouds there off to our west. That moves over New Jersey today, and we keep it clear going into this afternoon. So a light breeze tonight, and then tomorrow that wind starts pushing in from the south. Also brings in some much milder weather. Highs will be up around 80 away from the coast. And then the clouds take over by Friday afternoon into the evening, giving us a gray sky to wrap up the day. But I think we're dry until the overnight, really pre-dawn hours on Saturday. That's when the rain moves in, gives us some wet weather, could even be some embedded thunderstorms, up to an inch of rainfall for Saturday afternoon with those storms. And then a northwesterly wind clears us out, and we've got a beautiful Saturday ahead. Nothing but clear sky over New Jersey, taking over, starting off our Saturday and lasting all of Saturday afternoon. So a really pretty finish to the weekend with the dry weather remaining. Speaking of this weekend, the weather is split. Rain on Saturday, mild and muggy, but much drier with sunshine on Sunday, with a cooler finish to the weekend and a high of 65. We'll tell you more about it coming up with another check of your forecast, Ken. That's in a few minutes.
All right, Mike, thank you very much, sir. It's 56 degrees right now at 8:19. We do have a lot of traffic to talk about. Let's take a look right here at this traffic cam. This is the approach to the GWB, 80 and 95, still bumper to bumper, although it is moving at about 3 to 5 miles an hour right now. That's about a 45 to 50-minute inbound. Upper level is on the right, lower level is on the left. Just give yourself lots of extra travel time as many people are headed back to work. You can come back on camera, Pam. I'm going to show something myself. This is old school way of showing an issue, but that right there is by the Southern Mixing Bowl near Newark of the New Jersey Turnpike. And what that is that's the approach by the exit for the Holland Tunnel. I'm looking at it, I should show you. That's the approach to the Holland Tunnel exit. You see that sign right there. And that also takes you to Newark Airport. So a lot of people headed to the airport this morning as well, causing many, many delays. We have a crash now on the New Jersey Turnpike, Western Spur, northbound, just south of interchange 15W in Kearney, right shoulder block there. There's a crash on 678 northbound, exit A in York, 2 right lanes blocked. So that's just as that's over into New York from by the Tappan Zee Bridge. We have an overturned truck on I-80 in both directions east of exit 47A, which is Montville. All lanes are open westbound. 2 lanes are blocked eastbound. Crash on 295 southbound south of exit 28. And we have let's see, of course, we have an overturned truck. Wow. I-80, both directions by 47A in Montville. And we have the emergency pothole, or I should say sinkhole repair, I-80 exit 34. There it is right there. You're looking at Route 15 on the right side of your screen. That's the bypass for I-80, which is still closed. The one vehicle you see there on the left side, that is a construction vehicle. That is one of the contractors. Otherwise, nobody else is allowed to drive on the roadway now. It's going to be closed for 2 to 4 more weeks. 8:21 is our time from the gritty stages of New York's East Village to the soulful sounds of Nashville. Sweet Meg has carved a unique path in the world of jazz and blues. Starting in dive bars and coffee shops, she honed her craft in Paris before returning to New York as a full-time jazz vocalist. Now with her latest album, Christine's Daughter, produced in Nashville with acclaimed producer Roger Moutinho, Meg is redefining her sound. Meg, welcome to the show. Good to have you on.
Hi, good to be here.
I'm not going to do to you what people do to anyone who's a vocalist at 8:20 in the morning. Say, could you sing for us? I promise not to do that to you ever. I would not do that. But you started performing in the eclectic venues, of course, in New York's East Village. I went to NYU. I used to hang out in many of those venues. You sang in Brooklyn, where all the hipsters are. How did those early gigs shape your approach to music and performance, and then lead you to Paris?
I'd say being in the New York scene, the biggest thing I think it gives you is a feeling of, and I don't know, being anonymous, if that makes sense. Like I
Sure.
feel
Yeah.
like it gave me, yeah, because I feel like, you're like, all right, I'm in this huge city, so I just gotta do my art as best I can. It puts fire under your bum right away. It's not like playing a high school band show in your small town or something, like my first shows were in dive bars in New York City. So I was like kind of just right into the fire. And so I think that really helped me, just push me to try to be as best I can and do art also that reaches a wide audience rather than just doing like angsty teenage music. I was like, well, I'm playing for adults. I should probably do
Right.
adult music, and like
And,
did a
and
lot of
also
blues and
also the tastes in New York City. I mean, people's tastes are broader, and this is not to be condemnatory to smaller towns in rural America, but the tastes are broader. People are a little more musically educated, and they want to hear something different, right? They because you have in New York, you have access to anything you want. So people who are there and they know that somebody who is a jazz vocalist, that's what they're looking for, right? They're looking specifically for someone like you, and they will judge you quickly. So was that a little intimidating or at the same time?
yeah, I think it was intimidating, but it's like an intimidation that I was glad to get over with at a young age, because I mean, there's plenty of things that I will find to be anxious about in my career, but being on stage is not one of them. It's just like
Right.
that's the one place in my life I actually feel the most at ease, because it's just, I kind of the first place I performed was a stage in New York City, and I feel like everything else just feels like more chill or whatever. And I had a producer at a young age. I was obsessed with the 10,000 hours thing. And he was just like, you
Right.
need to play as many gigs as possible. And even if they were
Yeah.
like nothing gigs in Brooklyn, he would just like play gigs, play gigs, play gigs. And so I don't know. I feel like having that was a real big gift, because I feel like I'm not easily intimidated because of that, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
And it's just, in the field of television and television news, what do they tell you? That's why you got to start in the small markets, make your mistakes, do as many live shots as possible. You're not going to be perfect. And then by the time you even get to the big market, you've done it so many times that you're perfected without even trying. It's like being paid, albeit a small amount at the time, but you're being paid to perfect your skills and your art, if you will. So at 22, you moved to
Mhm.
Paris. How many people? Wow, that's a big deal. You moved to Paris. Did you speak French before you even got there?
I spoke a little French. I had a weird thing where I had these fans of mine, like around 18, were French, and I was just like, "What? There's people in France who know who I am?" It was like I was doing these ukulele gigs at the time, and we became kind of like we started talking, and we back and forth. I started going there. I took some time off. I like saved money from Ben and Jerry's, and I flew out to France and met them. And I just wanted to move to France like fully, and so I wanted to get a visa, and because I was like, I don't know, I was wanted to be there, and I found that I could get credit with my university if I went to this jazz school, and I was like, okay, I'll get the student visa, go to the jazz school, I'll learn more about music. It can't hurt to learn about jazz, right? And then
Right.
I'll just stay. And I ended up obviously coming back, so because I realized I was gonna have to finish my last year of college in America, and there was no way around that. So I was like, all right, I'll come back and then I'll move to France. But it was really just like me being like, I'm gonna move to France now, woo! And then I ended up becoming a jazz singer because of it, and then the next decade of my life, I was a jazz vocalist. So,
It's just amazing. That's awesome and a great one. If I may, we think there's so many great black artists, great black, especially female artists from America who went to Paris and performed and became megastars. And of course, at the time, they went there because discrimination here prevented them from growing their careers. They went to Paris. And what it indirectly did was it brought, because there wasn't the discrimination there at the time, certainly, that brought the art and the beauty of jazz and introduced it to Paris. And is that why you think it's such a huge thing there today? Because basically the people fleeing discrimination in the United States brought it there because I had no other place to go to perform.
yeah, I think it's a huge reason. I mean, I love Paris is like I mean, I'd still want to move back there. It's like someday I'll move back. I go as often as I can and just to do jazz gigs. It's like I go other places to tour. Everyone's always like, "You're always touring in Paris." I'm like, "Not really touring in Paris. I'm just like, I'll just go for 2 weeks and do local jazz gigs and like do little bar
Right.
gigs and stuff because it's got the same scene as New York. It's got, but what's nice about Paris, which it's retained since that era, is like the audience in Paris and in France, they're just so much more appreciative of jazz. Like I have to
Yeah.
say, they're just like you. I've played these little bars in Toulouse, and like the room is just filled. People are sitting on the floor, and I'm singing acoustically in this little bar, and everyone's like, because they just love jazz and they appreciate Americans coming over and playing it because they've had such a tradition of that and where they've gotten so much of that music, and it's a really special thing that continues to this day of this just like appreciation for American jazz musicians, and I love
What
it.
does
I'm
that
I'm, I'm
feel
really
like?
sad I'm not
Yeah.
going this year.
You're in a well, hopefully soon enough. You're in a room jammed with people, cocktail in hand, maybe a glass of good French wine, and their eyes are all trained on you, and their ears are ready for you, and they're like one with you. That must be the most insane feeling to be so connected with an
Oh
audience
yeah,
like that. Unreal.
it
I
really
sense
is.
it.
It's amazing.
I could see the
Yeah.
joy too in you.
Yeah, and like being in another country and doing that is like extra special. It's something, I mean, I did a show in Woods Hole, Massachusetts on Monday, and it was like
Mhm.
that, and it was just as magical. I mean, but
Oh,
just having that whenever you get to play acoustically for a group of people, it's actually to me like I could play a big festival and with like a loud speaker, and that's cool, and it's like much better for my career probably. Playing a small living room or a small bar where people are just like, "What is this?" It's like so exciting because like I did that in France. I also had the opportunity to do the American Music Abroad program before it ended in
mhm.
Russia. And so I had these similar experiences in Russia in 2019, which was like a very politically interesting and fascinating experience. Like I've done it in England as well. Like I've done it in different countries, and it's really is something. It really is something because it's like just how often do you get to be such a raw human being in front of a bunch of strangers from a different country, And I tell
Yeah.
stories of my life and do my best to translate things, and it's a really cool experience.
Well, we only have about 30 seconds left, and I just want to quickly hit that your debut album, Under the Moonlight, led to a partnership with Turtle Bay Records with about 30 seconds here. How did that collaboration come about, and what was it like working with Scott Asen to release I'm in Love Again?
That was a wonderful experience. That was a COVID experience that he knew a lot of us were out of work, and he had the money to fund a record label, and he decided to start one. So he got a bunch of us together to record kind of a dream record. We like everyone I wanted to be on the record was available because it was COVID. And so we did that. And then he let me do two more records, but down in Nashville. So we mixed the country musicians from Nashville and the jazz musicians from New York. And we did two more records that came out in 2021 and 2022. And so that
So
was a
that's
really
Christine's
cool.
daughter?
No, that is I've got My Window Faces the South and Bluer Than Blue. And then I've got a new record coming out in May called Never Been Home. And
Oh.
those two records kind of led to this new one, which is like my full Americana original Nashville record under I know in under the name Sweet Meg. Yeah.
I love it. And of course, for those who don't realize, you're a New Jersey girl too, right? You're a Bergen Academies graduate. You spent time
Yep.
in Hackensack. You play. How did that play a role in sparking your passion, by the way, for music?
I definitely played a lot of music in high school, and that was cool because I got to meet other scenes. I got to meet like the Ridgewood Glen Rock scene where there was all this like indie rock
Right.
going on, which there wasn't really much going on in Cliffside Park that I knew of musically. So that was like really cool. And I met a lot of weird, nerdy Bergen Academy kids that wanted to go to the city and see, weird indie rock in Williamsburg, and that was really nice. And I studied art there, and that definitely fueled me because I, got to paint and do art and be around other artistic people, and that was such a cool school to go to. I was very lucky to go there.
And we're blessed to have great schools like that in this area in the New York market, if you will. That's awesome. And what do you have coming
Yeah.
up next? And what's your website for people to get more info and take listens to samples of your music?
Well, tonight I'm in Ridgefield Park, which will be fun. Playing at the Knights of Columbus at 7 o'clock. And then the next thing, sweetmeg.com with two G's, sweetmeg.com. Yeah, you go right there. And yeah, the next thing is the next album. And so that comes out May 16th. This Friday, I have a single coming out, Canberra. So you can stay tuned for that. You can pre-save it if you follow me online. Um, yeah, and all of that's coming out soon. I'm excited. I'm doing Merle Fest, which is a big festival in North Carolina on Friday as well. So it's a fun week. It's a good week.
Well, I know that you're up in those clubs singing those dive bars and great big bars and performances on stage till like 1 in the morning, 2 in the morning. So the fact that you're up at 8:33 with us right now means you're a very nice person, and I appreciate you and what you do. And you are a super smooth, super talented artist. Sweet Meg, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Please come back again. It was great having you on. God bless you.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. All right. That's awesome. Yeah. Usually performers like that, they don't get up before noon. So the fact that she's up this early is a very kind thing that she did for us. We appreciate it. 8:33. When we come back, Cinco de Mayo is less than 2 weeks away. We're going to tell you where to celebrate. The phone lines are open at 888-658-0234. Sunny upper 70s. We're coming right back on New Jersey Mornings. We'll be back in a moment. Very good morning. It is Wednesday, April 23rd, 2025, 57 degrees at 8:34. I'm Ken Rosato. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. Mostly sunny today, highs upper 70s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta, who's not in his upper 70s. He has the detailed Garden State forecast. Good morning, Jim Mike.
Good morning to you, Ken. We've got a really pretty day ahead. So whether you find yourself in the upper 30s or upper 70s, you will enjoy today's forecast. And even over the next several days, lots of warm weather to enjoy. Dry and sunny right through Friday. And that is until we get to Saturday. That's when some rain comes in and gives us our wet weather by the end of the week. But at least the dry weather returns as soon as Sunday. Now, if you find yourself down toward, say, coastal sections of south of Tom's River, over toward Manahawk, and even by Egg Harbor City and Hamilton, you see the smoky icon here. That is for all of the wildfire smoke that persists throughout this afternoon. A little bit of a breeze coming in from the south and east, and that's going to make for some smoky conditions with that afternoon sea breeze. But until we see a little bit of a southerly breeze and then the rain on Friday, I think those wildfires persist thanks to the conditions being pretty favorable with the dry weather around. Lots of sunshine today, keeping it clear even through this afternoon. The dry weather persists through Friday into Friday night. I think once we get through the overnight into early Saturday morning, that's when the rain chances pick up, and we get a front that pushes through, giving us a good downpour later on Saturday afternoon. That'll help to improve the air quality, as well as not only the allergens have been pretty bad, but also that smoke down in southern New Jersey. So that's the forecast air quality for today. Pretty low air quality through Toms River and even working their way north over toward Long Branch as that smoke continues to rise. Well, with the high pressure in control, at least the winds are light today. But the problem is tomorrow, as that high slides eastward, the winds start to blow in from the south. And that pushes the smoke over sections of Ocean and Monmouth County northward, maybe even into the city, before the rain has a chance to come and help the fire efforts out, to clear out that smoke and the fires by the end of the day Saturday. So I think Sunday will be much better with a dry northwesterly breeze, but the rain is coming in, I think, a little late, given that it stays quite dry until Saturday, with that chance of rain coming in later Friday into Saturday morning. Until then, temperatures stay mild in the upper 70s. We are cool for Sunday, but again, in the sun, it'll feel pleasant, and then warm right back up to near 80 by Tuesday. Could be making into the 80s by the middle of next week. What a way to wrap up April. With temperatures at the coast a little bit cooler thanks to that afternoon sea breeze. Sunday turns milder with that rain and then clears by Sunday evening. Very pleasant weather on the way starting Sunday and lasting into Monday and Tuesday of next week. So pretty weather ahead, Ken. Just have to make it through, I think, the poorer air quality, especially down the shore where the parkway, you saw the pictures. I mean, the fires are right up against the parkway there, south of exit 80.
And a lot of folks there now without power. Of course, the Jersey City Power and Light and the other power companies in the area, they had to kill the power because if any of those power lines comes down while the firefighters are out there working, it could cause more fires, and of course, it could electrocute the workers. So they had to kill the power there. So you have like 25,000 customers. That's about 100,000 people without electricity there right now. So but that's the least of it. They just want their structures not to burn down. Obviously, this is a very serious thing. And this is why you always talk about how important it is not to be in a water deficit so that all that wildlife out there, those trees are kept well moisturized, right? So we don't have this. So
Yeah,
important.
and it's
Mike,
typically a
thank you
very
so much. Yes.
dry time of year. So, with that
Yeah.
air being so dry, and it's remained dry, still a little bit of a drought, and we'll talk more about that with a drought monitor coming up in the next weather segment. But it's, this is the time that we typically see brush fires here in New Jersey.
Yep. And that's the reason, right? And that's why we don't want to be in a water deficit ever
Right.
because of that. Mike, thank you so much, my friend. I appreciate you. It is 57 degrees right now. And we do have some, again, traffic just about everywhere. You could randomly pick any of the traffic cameras. So we picked one. Let's take a look at this right here. This is mile marker 147.0. Look at that, just crawling along by exit 145 on the Garden State Parkway. So you are looking at, let's see. Oh, I have the wrong sheet in front of me. So this would be East Orange. This takes you to I-280 in East Orange, and it's going along at about 10 miles an hour. That is the state of things on a lot of our roadways this morning. But you could see the sun is directly in their faces. You see how the shadow is behind the vehicle? So they're driving into the sun right now, heading northbound. That tells you something. So there's a good chance, not north and east, I should say. So there's a good chance the sun glare is causing that issue right there too. Anyway, just be aware that you have to give yourselves extra travel time this morning. We also have a crash with injuries on Route 18, both directions south of Ferry Road and Old Bridge Township. The left lane is closed northbound and all lanes have now opened southbound. We have a crash on the Turnpike Outer Roadway southbound south of Interchange 9, Route 18 in Milltown. A left lane is blocked. Crash on I-295 southbound south of exit 28, which is Black Horse Pike and Belmore. Two right lanes closed with a 15-minute delay. And we have a crash on the New Jersey Turnpike Western Spur northbound south of Interchange 15W, which is Kearney I-280. Right shoulder is blocked. Let's take a look now, if we can, at the approach to the GWB I-8095. That's actually moving better than it was. Still crawling, but moving better than it was. So you're looking right there. Left lane, the left side of your screen rather is lower level. The right side is upper level. You're looking probably at about a 45-minute when it's moving at that speed. They're about 45-minute inbound right now on the 80 and 95 approach to the GWB. We also have a crash on I-678. This is exit A in New York. Two right lanes blocked. Overturned truck on I-80, both directions east of exit 47A, which is Route 280 in Montville. All lanes open westbound, but we have two right lanes closed eastbound. And let me bring this up. We have that Okay, last thing we'll have then is our emergency construction eastbound I-80, both directions at exit 34, Route 15 in Wharton, just to keep moving the camera on us in a good way. So you could see upper left of the screen is Route 15 going in one direction. That's the westbound direction. Eastbound on the upper right side, and you can see it's much slower upper right as opposed to up the left side. Yeah, so Pam is telling me 15 north is where all the trucks are going. So you could see that that is taking all the bypass traffic for I-80. It's going to be another 2 to 4 weeks, 2 weeks for the westbound side, 4 weeks for the eastbound side before I-80 reopens. So just an absolute mess right now. It is 8:41. A massive wildfire surged to 8,500 acres. We heard Mike talking about this. This happened in Ocean County. It forced the evacuation of 3,000 residents, along with multiple large road closures. Look at this fire, the Jones Road forest fire. It's only about 10% contained. Over 1,300 structures threatened by that fire. 25,000 homes and businesses were without power in the area. JCP&L had to cut power to protect all the firefighters. It is 8:42. President Trump will be among the world leaders who will attend the funeral of Pope Francis. That funeral is set for this Saturday in Vatican City. And we do have some images to show you here of the Pope. They released, there we go, the Pope lying in state yesterday in Vatican City. These are images released by the Vatican of the Pope in his coffin. He's very much at peace. The Pontiff died Monday at the age of 88 following that life-threatening battle with respiratory ailments. The funeral service set for Saturday morning at 10 a.m. And that is Rome time, by the way, 10 a.m. So that's going to be at 3 p.m. Eastern time. His body will be buried at Rome's Basilica of St. Mary Major in a simple wooden casket. That's what he wanted. He just wanted the name Franciscus, meaning Francis, engraved on his tombstone there. And that's it. Just very simple. That's the kind of man he was. And we take a live look now at the Pope lying in state. This is under the Bernini columns in St. Peter's Basilica. That's where everybody goes. That's where he celebrated Mass not too long ago before he got sick. He celebrated Mass just 25, 30 feet behind. You could see the altar under the Bernini columns. The Bernini columns are those twisty columns, very famous, made of bronze, that are 180 feet high by the high altar in St. Peter's Basilica. And you can see just thousands upon thousands of people walking by to get a last look at the pontiff, who is laying and in state, resting in peace. And as we talked to our psychiatrist friend before, that's part of the closure that humans go through. That's why we go to wakes. We go there to see the person lying there, to kind of close it in our minds that the person has passed on at that point. So may the Pope rest in peace. And of course, there will be millions of pilgrims making their way to Vatican City. Not only for the papal funeral, but of course, as many people come to say prayers as the cardinals come to town. They are going to be, of course, electing a new pontiff during the conclave, which will take place right after the funeral. Our time is 8:44. When we come back, the days of sharing your streaming passwords with friends appear to be over. On New Jersey Mornings, tech expert Fisher will be here to explain. It's going to be mostly sunny today, highs upper 70s. Meteorologist Mike Favetta returns with your full Garden State forecast, and we'll take calls at 888-658-0234. You're watching On New Jersey Mornings. Don't go away. Welcome back to On New Jersey Mornings. I'm Ken Rosato at 8:45, taking calls at 888-658-0234. Mostly sunny today, highs upper 70s. Right to meteorologist Mike Favetta with the full Garden State forecast. Good morning, Mike.
Good morning, Ken. A beautiful, warm and sunny day across New Jersey. Lots of pleasant weather to enjoy. With those breezes out of the north and west today, it'll keep us dry, keep us mild, and highs will be well above average. We should only be reaching the low 60s for this time of April, but we'll take it, especially with all the clear sky around. So Ken mentioned before the power outages. 8:46 this morning, 8% of Ocean County now without power, and that translates to anywhere between 10,000 and 25,000 customers there because of those wildfires. So hopefully those get better over the next several days. With the drought continuing, especially where the fires are burning, we'll see a little bit of rain come in late Friday night into Saturday morning, but a good soaking by Saturday afternoon with a line of storms. Until that point, however, we stay pretty dry with no rainfall expected until then. And we're still running about 1 to 2 inches below average up in Sussex County. Well, as the warm weather persists, not just for New Jersey, but for most of the East Coast, right through the first week of May, it is a prolonged period of above average temperatures that you can even see on the 7-day and equal chances of rain. Not seeing anything too wet nor too dry. You see the 7-day forecast has a lot of sunshine taking us through the rest of this week with highs that are above average going into the upper 70s even for Friday. Extra clouds by Friday afternoon. Rain comes in with some downpours and thunderstorms on Saturday, clearing by Saturday evening, leading to a very dry and pleasant Sunday. But the heat is on again for next week. Monday and Tuesday, warm it right back up into the upper 70s. You can find a little bit of relief down at the shore with that sea breeze each afternoon, taking throughout the day tomorrow and Friday. Again, smoke concerns if you're in Ocean and Monmouth County by the end of the day tomorrow with that little bit of a breeze pushing the smoke northward. But I think the rain helps the firefighting efforts on Saturday and then clears out yet again for Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday of next week. So overall, a pretty decent looking forecast ahead, Ken, and we like that going into the last week of April.
Decent is good. All right, Mike, have a wonderful day. Thank you so much, my
You
friend.
too.
It is 56 degrees, you bet. 56 degrees now at 8:48. Lots of traffic to tell you about. Let's take a look first. We'll go right to the traffic cam if we could, which is the I-80-95 approach. Dead stop. This is your approach to the GWB. Upper level on the right, lower. The guy should not be on the shoulder. Don't do that. You'll get stopped and it's dangerous. Upper level on the right, lower level on the left. You can see that's about an hour delay inbound. So much for congestion pricing, eliminating vehicular traffic into Manhattan. There you go, right there. So there's proof of it. But that is a mess right now in the inbound approach to the GWB. We have a crash on the Jersey Turnpike outer roadway southbound, south of Interchange 9, which is Route 18 in Milltown. Right shoulder is blocked. Overturned truck, I-80 both directions, east of 47A, which is I-280 in Montville. We have all lanes open westbound, but one left lane now closed eastbound. They did have 2 lanes closed prior. In the last 15 minutes, they've now opened one of those lanes. Disabled vehicle I-80 westbound, east of exit 53, which is Route 23, Route 46 as well in Wayne Township. A center lane is closed there. We have a crash with injuries on Route 18, both directions south of Ferry Road in Old Bridge Township with the left lane closed northbound. All lanes have now opened southbound. Crash on 295 southbound by Route 168, Black Horse Pike and Belmar. 2 right lanes closed. That's near Philly. About a 15-minute delay. Use caution. And a crash on the New Jersey Turnpike Western Spur, northbound south of Interchange 15W, I-280 in Kearney. Right shoulder is blocked. Crash on 678 northbound exit A in New York. That is by the Tappan Zee Bridge. 2 right lanes are blocked. And of course, that emergency construction, I-80 both directions, exit 34, Route 15 in Wharton. Different camera angle there showing you the traffic. You can see nothing on I-80, of course. It'll be 2 to 4 more weeks before anything opens up. It is 8:49 and a move to crack down on password sharing outside home. Another streaming company has taken steps to force you to pay your fair share. And Meta has taken steps to allow users to continue to create content and step up their creative game with an app that doesn't have a risk of being banned. To weigh in on these topics and more this morning is brand and digital strategist Fisher, who can be found on X, Threads, and Instagram with the username @Fisher and through his website, fisher.media. Morning, Fisher.
Good morning, Ken. How are you?
Good, sir. And tell us about the company that's clamping down on password sharing. So that you mean I can't publicly post my Netflix password anymore?
Not anymore, and you can't charge for it anymore either, Ken. Sorry. But like Netflix in 2023 and Disney Plus this past fall, Warner Brothers Discovery is now beginning to crack down on password sharing for Max, formerly known for some of us older people as HBO Max. Now, it's okay to share your passwords inside the house. So if you log in the living room and you have a couple of TVs in the office or in the bedroom, or if you're lucky enough in the kitchen or the bathroom, you could still log in because you're identified as your home by your home IP IP address. If you have a kid in college and they go off to college, that's where now you've probably been sharing that username and password. Maybe you have a friend you watch White Lotus with. That is going to be cracked down on, but they're going to give you an out, right? So it's called extra member add-on. It is very original. It allows users, you as the primary account holder, to add an extra person who does not live in the same household to your subscription for a monthly fee. It's priced at $7.99. It allows you to add on another family member or friend who doesn't live with you. So like we mentioned, or I mentioned, a college kid that goes off. Now, that's great if you have one college kid. If you have two, you're going to have to actually have one of them not pay $7.99. They're going to have to get their own account. Good news is if you have your own profile under mom and dad's account or your friend's account, you can transfer that to your new account, and it's a standalone account. So you can watch your own stuff. The original account, or the parent account, if you will, doesn't have access to it and can't see what you're watching. But you can only add one person as of now for $7.99.
So if you're outside of the house, say for instance, I'm traveling overseas and I want to stream my whatever, my Max overseas,
You
it's going to see a different IP address.
Yes.
Can I do it there? Oh, I can still do it. Okay. I just can't have two
Yes.
people at once doing it in two different IP
No,
addresses. That's
you'll
gotcha.
you'll get it will be tied again to that IP address. So first of all, there's two problems there. One, you typically can't stream US property overseas. So
Oh.
that's a whole nother issue that has nothing to do with this. But say you go to Florida and you want to stream. You can if you're tied to that IP address. But if then you go to another IP address, they consider it a different user, and then that won't work.
What if
So
you use
no,
one of
you
those
can't.
virtual VPNs?
That's another IP address.
Oh, but do they accept VPNs or it all depends, I guess?
It depends. They probably don't in this case, and a lot of the
Right.
streaming services don't, and because you'll be nowhere near your house, right? So, and you don't really have an
Gotcha.
opportunity to choose where you're VPNing into. It sometimes is the most secure, the fastest, or again, if you're doing a virtual, it's usually free. And so you might be in Mexico, you could be in Oregon, you could be, in Nevada. It doesn't matter. You won't be in New Jersey, so it will recognize that you're not at your house.
Ah, darn it. Okay. Well, because
Yep.
I'm going to be traveling this summer and I want to be able to stream my stuff. And it's going to be in Europe. So I would love to be able to stream, but I guess I'm SOL, as they say, which we
Well, it
won't even
depends if you
explain.
have if you have a TV package or a package. I mean, I guess you could check the terms and conditions or the FAQs on the website. But some streaming services allow you, if you're using your phone or a tablet, they recognize that separately than if you're trying to stream off a television. So you
Gotcha.
might be able to get away with it. Again, they might have depending on the service, they always have their little cutouts. Like I have DirecTV as my main service, and I do have some of the other streamings. I can use DirecTV. I can watch it on a plane. I can watch it in Vegas, and I'm getting my home TV service. So some of these streaming services probably do have options to watch on mobile.
And we
Just
have
don't
just about a
carry your
minute or so.
85-inch television with you over to Europe.
You just gave away the secret. That's the 85-inch television right there. I could fit
I
it
don't
in my
think
wallet, by
Delta's
the
going to
way.
let you put that as a carry-on, but you could try
It's
again.
good. Under the seat in front of me. We have
Yeah,
about a
it's
minute
fine.
left. Meta is
Yep.
helping users create content while stepping up their creative game. What's that about?
Yeah, so TikTok has a video editing software called CapCut, and what the problem is that when TikTok gets banned, so does CapCut, and that is software that a lot of users, content creators use to create videos on all the platforms. Well, Meta has launched their own standalone video editing app. So it's standalone, so that means it's its own app. It is called Edits. It allows users of Instagram or really any video platform to create videos and use advanced video editing techniques. The Verge says the Edits includes tools for project management, tracking notes and ideas, and data on video performance. There are also advanced editing tools not found in the regular Instagram app, like AI animations created from a single picture, green screen replacement, and subject cutouts. Yeah, so you could do a lot of things with Edits as well as with CapCut, but at least Edits won't be up in the air as to will it get banned, will it stick around, will China do something or using something from China. It's a great app, and it's created by Meta, so look for it in Google, Apple, under Edits.
So does it use AI in order to do all the editing features?
Not all of them, but there are certain things like, again, AI animation. So you could take a picture of your cat or your dog, a single picture, and then it will make it walk, right? Things like that. Being able to, again, cut out, if I had a green screen behind me, I'd clearly pick a better background, but I'd be able to have a cleaner background for videos. I could be in Rome. I could be on a private plane. I could, do a lot of things with that. And as content creators get more creative, they are looking to do more things because this is, in a lot of cases, their income. So this will definitely help.
Awesome. All right. So when I
And also the
when I want to
project management, like the tracking notes, the ideas, that's a great addition because a lot of these content creators are creating videos that are edited quickly and don't have the ability of having all the tools that we have in television. So being able to keep track of what you're doing is great in this app. Sorry, Ken, for interrupting.
No, it's all right. Only because we're out of time. We're just about to end the show. So Brandon,
Sure.
digital strategist Fisher, found on X, Threads, and Instagram, username @Fisher, and through his website, fisher.media. Thank you, my friend, always for
Take
coming
care.
on this morning. You bet. You too. 8:57 now. We have 57 degrees. Meteorologist Mike Favetta says mostly sunny today, highs upper 70s. That is on New Jersey Mornings for your Wednesday, April 23rd. I'm Ken Rosato. Remember, you can always stream us on ONNJ.com, Roku, Fire TV, News On, Samsung TV Plus, Apple TV, YouTube, Facebook, X. And now we stream live on Rumble and Twitch. Sounds like a road gang, doesn't it? Hey, I'm Rumble, I'm Twitch. Just go to twitch.tv/ONNJ. We'll catch you again tomorrow morning at 7. Tell all your friends about us. Pam liked that. Thank you, Pam. My one laugh. I appreciate you. Tell all your friends about us. Have them tune in. Check us out. Till tomorrow. Have a wonderful day. Thanks for watching on New Jersey Mornings. Take care.